you have light. And the moment you have light, you don't have any other problem. In very sharp few seconds, the source of anxiety is gone because there's no tiger and you have light. Now, what Vedanta does to deal with our anxieties, our insecurities, and a hell lot of problems all of us have from time to time, Vedanta is going on, it goes on hammering that point in that please understand that much of these problems that you are trying to struggle with, they are Vyavaharika Satya. Phenomenally, they are real. But truth of the matter is that actually this whole problem, this whole gamut of problems in life is a creation of the mind. And the mind creates it because the mind is unable to get past the conditions of delusion, the conditions of getting blinded by a faulty understanding of the reality. Once we are able to readjust our life world, our worldview, as they call in German, Weltanschauung, if we can sort of get rid of that faulty way of looking at things, then our problems are instantly over. It takes a little time. So far, the impact is gone. But, like, for example, you met a very old friend. Actually, it was not your friend. But that person's dress resembles that old friend of yours' dress. And suddenly you shout out, "Hey, where are you going?" And he turns back. It's some other person. Now, you know he is not your friend, but that elation you experience shall continue for a few seconds or few minutes. And you meet and you introduce each other and you say that, look, you are wearing that shirt which you used to wear 5 years back. We are very close friends. You have a different kind of conversation. Maybe, but that particular emotion with which you shouted at him from behind, that elation lasts a few seconds. So also the fears that we have about life, even as the cause of the fears are removed, the fears linger for a while. It's like you're anxious about something and you get the positive result. Still, you would like to relax and breathe coolly because suddenly the rate of breathing has gone up. And there is some sort of a new condition that you are passing through. The cause of that condition is removed, even then the consequence of something which doesn't have a cause anymore persists. It's very interesting. This is a magic of consciousness, and we have to pay enough attention to be able to deal with the beneficial results of such a new understanding. Many of the things, the problems are over, still we are stuck with it for a while. So he's saying, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam Atmana. How can you rescue yourself with yourself or rescue your mind with your mind? He's saying, yeah, if you have a mind which has been cultured, which has been trained, which has been educated, it's Sanskrita. Sanskrita how? You have the Samadhamadis, Satka Sampati, Shama, Dama, and then Mumukshitva, Titikya, Samadhamadi, Satka Sampati, Viveka, Vairagya, right? And then Mumuksha, liberation, desire for liberation. When you have these qualifications and you have done the necessary sadhana, yesterday we studied that yoga rudha, you are already yoga rudha means you are a sarva sankalpa sannyas. You are not having any more any delusions. It becomes easy for you to focus on the truth. Yoga rudatvam asadya. So you asadya. So you embark on a path of sarva karma sannyasa, sarva sankalpa sannyasa. Then you become yoga rudha. कब होता है योगारूढ़ आदमी? समाकारणम उच्यते. जब मन, there is indriya nigraha, there is an internal quietude in the mind, then you are yogarudha. Arurukyo, you want to be in yoga, karma karanam uchyate. You have to do nishkama karma. Yoga, you have to do that nishkama karma yoga to create in you a strong aspiration for jnana nishtha. Once you are yogarudha, it's very technically interlinked, okay? Vedanta is not only about intellectual churning of the idea of Atma. You have to have a yoga sthiti to be able to meditate on the meaning of the self. Then it will make sense to you. So there is no yoga state or a peace of mind or tranquility or internal quietude without Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Nishkama Karma Yoga is the first phase, you have to do that. Then Ishwararpana Buddhi, bhakti is also important. Then meditation, and you have that yoga order state as a result of these two. Your mind is very quiet. Then you reflect on that Veda Vakya, the Upanishad Vakya, becomes easier to understand the intended message in it. Once that happens, it's so much easier for you to reflect on it. When you have Jnana Nishtha, and then finally Tattva Darshana, long journey. So he's saying Yoga Rudatvam Asadya Samyak Darsana Nishtaya. आत्मज्ञान का यही है साक्षात कारण. So, as I was discussing yesterday, that how do you get a PhD? You have to submit your PhD thesis. That is sakshat karana. But to be able to reach that stage of writing a thesis, you need to complete your master's or MPhil or whatever. And then you have to study a lot of books and you have to cultivate your mind. You need to know the subject matter, meet your guide, prepare the bibliography. There are so many things. Ultimately, this thesis needs to be printed. That is Sakshat PhD Karana. You have the viva voce, you have to do well. Then, of course, you come out successful. But in order to reach there, you have to do so many things, which includes karma nishtha, it includes upasana, it needs that yoga durasthiti, quietening of the mind. Okay? Samyak darsana nishtaya, that is the Sakshat Moksha Karana. End of the day, you might do hazar puja, tapasya, everything. Ultimately, you have to do that samyak vichara, that tattva vichara, that Vedantic path is saying. And therefore, in the verse number 10, as we were doing it yesterday, we were just starting to do it. So there are so many issues here, okay, that we have sort of touched upon yesterday. That संसार जो है, संसार ये क्या है? संसारणम, birth and death, again and again. संसार शब्द कहाँ से बनता है? संसारणम, you are sort of you're just kind of moving through this whole cycle, birth and death, संसारणम. That's why it's called संसार. And ये कहाँ से आया? birth and death हम लोगों का होता क्यों है? It's because of अविद्या. अविद्या कब से शुरू हुआ? शास्त्र कहता है अनादि. उसका कोई आदि नहीं है, कब से शुरू हुआ कोई नहीं जानता. Okay, so nobody knows where from avidya starts and where from the srushti prakriya starts, where the jivas are gathering and why they are suffering. There is no beginning there. There are 6 anadis. Ishvara has anadi, Ishvara jiva bheda anadi, jiva anadi, avidya anadi. They are all without an adi. There is no beginning. Now, अविद्या तद विलास रूप, ये संसार क्या है? अविद्या और उसका विलास मतलब this expansion. You have one root cause, one faulty understanding. Generally, a lot of people, if ever you have passed through it, or if you know somebody, it all starts with a small problem. Okay, many of our problems in life starts with a very tiny, minor problem. Then it takes hold of your mind. And then we do not have right kind of advice at the right moment to break that umbilical cord of that particular local confusion, which is in one corner of the mind, with the overall functioning of the mind. Then that particular problem, which is lying in one corner of the mind, with a proper help and guidance, you can actually kill that small mother of all anxieties. It starts contaminating like a cancer cell. That particular anxiety spreads like a cancer in your subjective world. हर चीज को फिर affect करने लगता है वो. It expands, and then slowly, what is a minor local neurosis becomes a psychosis. Now here, what he's saying is, जो पूरा संसार है, he's saying it's essentially an expansion. It's a multiplication. Okay, and then this whole thing appears as real. The mother of it is your identification with your body and your mind, this whole complex. This is the only reality I have. I am this body. Ye sansar, ye bandhan. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, and many other. You can go to any Vedanti, will the same thing, that get rid of this faulty understanding. Adau vante jayannasti vartamani pi tattatha. जो पहले नहीं था, बाद में नहीं है, बीच में से कहाँ से आ जाएगा? पहले हम लोग थे, नहीं थे, बाद में रहेंगे, नहीं, बीच में दिख रहे हैं। तो फिर क्या रहता है, चिरंतन क्या रहता है? दैट इज दैट पेरिनियल कॉन्शियसनेस. It takes so many forms, like so many bubbles appear on the water surface in an ocean. It is not fundamentally true. तो जीवात्मा सब झूठ है? No. You have to do व्यवहारिक सत्य. It's for our own understanding. We have this individual consciousness that we have to deal with. We can't just reject it because we read a few sentences of Vedanta. It's a long journey. Slowly we have to unravel. But the fundamental faulty understanding is the mother of all agonies. That's what the Upanishads tell us. Therefore, ये संसार को हम नष्ट कैसे करेंगे? When the sansara is a product of a faulty understanding, the only way you can win over sansara is by having a correct understanding. That the sansara is phenomenally real, ultimately not real. Like everything that we are seeing has come out of a black hole, maybe is going to be dissolved into black hole, and these dualities shall not exist. There will be no matter, no qualities. Everything that we're talking about is going to be meaningless. Once we are part of a black hole, where do we go? We just become that seed form in it. So what he's trying, so he's saying samyak jnanavena durastatvat baridhitvena rupanam. Why is it called an ocean? Because it's such an overwhelming fact of life, essentially illusory, but it can drown us. A faulty understanding which causes a depression can drown us. And the only way to get rid of that depression is to have a correct understanding. This whole sansara bhoga dasa that we are passing through, the Upanishads say, is no different from a self-created depression. Much of it is a self-created joke that we are stuck with, and we call it real. Okay, and therefore, because it happens again, so klesa the panchaka. What are the klesa panchakas? Avidya, ignorance; asmita, that you are; raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Raga is attraction, you are whatever you love. Dvesha is aversion, whatever you don't like or you think is painful. Abhinivesha is obsession with the fact that we may die. We don't want to die, we want to be here. And avidya is ignorance, asmita is that ego consciousness. Very in a layman's language. These pancha kleshas are destroying us. Why? Agyaha karta manushoham. हम करता हूँ, मैं करता हूँ, भोग मुझे मिलना चाहिए, ऐसे हम घूमते रहते हैं बार बार. अतः विवेचन शून्यस्य मनसः शरीरादि संसक्तत्वं च आत्मनः संसार वारिधि मग्नत्वम. संसार वारिधि हम गिर रहे हैं, उसका अर्थ कितना सुंदर कर रहे हैं. ये श्रृंगेरी के शंकराचार्य थे, चंद्रशेखर भारती, वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट सेंट्स एज वेल एज वेदांतिक इंटेलेक्चुअल्स. जो विवेचना नहीं कर पाता है, विवेचन से शून्य है वो व्यक्ति का, मनसः अपने मन में, शरीरादि संतत्वम, फिर अपने शरीर को अपना मानता है. आई वांट टू बी वेरी healthy, these muscles are very powerful. Have you seen my biceps? A lot of people look at their body 20 times a day. And I found during the last COVID, this is not to make fun of anyone, you would find that a lot of people who lost their lives were very well bodied. The virus doesn't care for how powerful are your muscle at all. It's all about immunity. Muscles you can build. It doesn't do anything to save you from a disease. Whether it is corona or anything else, the virus has a different target. It's going to target it. The muscles absolutely don't help you. Yeah, they may help you fight with somebody. Not with these subtle enemies called virus or bacteria. When they hit you very hard. They don't care for how strong are your bones and your flesh and how much more blood you have. They don't care. So therefore, he's saying, mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. This is a very powerful sentence. मन ही लोगों का बंध और मोक्ष का कारण है. मन, please understand, and that's why I keep saying that the Buddhist philosophers are our first cousins, close cousins. Except that they call Sunya, we call Purna, we are telling more or less the same thing. Okay? मन एव मनुष्याणाम कारणम बंध मोक्षयोः. बंध और मोक्ष, यहाँ पे षष्ठी विभक्ति है. बंध मोक्ष द्विवचन, बंध मोक्षयोः कारणम. एक वचन है और क्लीवलिंग है। मनुष्याणाम षष्ठी विभक्ति, मनुष्यों का। बंधाय विषयासक्तम मुक्त्यये निर्विषयम स्मृतम। अब बंद हो, आबद्ध होना चाहते हैं, जो बड़ा सरल है, विषयासक्त हो जाइए। जितने व्यक्ति विषय से आसक्त होते हैं, जिस क्षण में हम आसक्त हो गए, हमें ये आइसक्रीम खाना है, मन में घुस गया, बहुत गर्मी है, आपके मन के अंदर ये प्रवेश किया डिजायर, आई वांट टू हैव दिस आइसक्रीम। द आइसक्रीम शॉप इज ऑलरेडी क्लोज्ड, you are ready to walk 2 kilometers because that particular ice cream has suddenly captured a very important aspect of your attention. आप बंद कर दिया कि नहीं, आपको बांध दिया। जैसे कोई your pet dog, somebody walks him 2 kilometers, this mind is walking you, you are a pet of your mind, it walks you 2 kilometers to that ice cream shop, you will go, you're obedient। राजा कौन है वहां, कर्ता कौन है, मन, वही आपको ले जाता है साथ में। आप जैसे अपने पेट डॉग को ले जाते हैं, मन आपको ले जाता है आइसक्रीम शॉप पे। वाई, आपने उसको जगह दे दिया, फिर वो राजा बन गया। एंड देन मुक्तये निर्विषयम स्मितम, मुक्त होना चाहते हैं, चलिए विषय से आसक्ति हटा दीजिए। विषय आसक्ति नहीं है। राजा कौन है, आपके विवेक राजा है। मन कोने में, मन को आपने आबद्ध कर दिया, उससे अपना नजर आपने हटा दिया। यू आर नो मोर कंसर्न विद इट, इट फील्स वेरी हेल्पलेस, इट्स एन कॉर्नर। अतः विवेचन शून्यस्य मनसः शरीरादि संसक्तत्वम आत्मनः संसार बारिधि मग्नत्वम। बारिधि में हम लोग डूब रहे हैं, उसका मतलब नहीं है सही में कोई संसार में कोई सागर है जिसमें हम डूब रहे हैं। ये मन का खेल है, अपना जो अज्ञान है, अपना जो मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग है, that is like ocean in which we are getting drowned. The best way to get out of it is actually to be intelligently watchful of all these idiots who are entering our mind in the name of desirable things that we should pursue in life. It doesn't mean you shouldn't get up in the morning and should not take healthy food, should not talk nicely with people. No, you do all that. You do all that. Don't get trapped in any of these things. You see yourself, as Vedanta keeps hammering that point. Whatever you have cannot be you. You have a car, you have a house, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have a friend, you have a degree. You can't be all this. Who is that you? That you which you are attaching with everything is not actually attachable with anything. So that pure thing, when you are related with that pure thing, then your mind is on a new journey towards self-discovery. Now, verse number 10. Sangnasya sarvakarmani bhavabandha vimuktay yatyatam panditer dhirer आत्माभ्यास उपस्थिते। अब क्या करना है, मार्ग बता रहे हैं। संन्यस्य सर्वकर्माणि, सर्व कर्म का आप त्याग कर दीजिए। So you should not wake up in the morning, of course you would. You won't take a bath, of course you would. You do all that, but you shall not do anything in real terms. You are completely withdrawn from it. सो सर्व कर्माणी, कर्म यहाँ किस अर्थ से लेंगे, जो उसमें फलासंग है, कर्म फल के साथ आसक्त आप हो जाते हैं, वही कर्म बनता है। भवबंध विमुक्त, ये संसार रूपक जो बंधन है, मैन इज बोर्न फ्री एवरीवेयर इन चेन्स। देयर वाज अ ग्रेट French philosopher called Jean-Jacques Rousseau who said this. Man is born free everywhere in chains. Looks like he was a great Vedanti. And यत्यताम, यत्न करे, पंडिते ही धीरे ही, पंडित जो व्यक्ति हैं और जो धीर हैं, this धीर शब्द is a beautiful word. As I told you that each word is made out of a dhatu root. There's an etymological root out of which is made, and there will be some kind of a vigraha, how to make sense of it. Now dhira is what? Dhiyam rati iti dhira. और रा जो धातु है उसका अर्थ है रा आधाने। सो when you are actually you are holding it, Okay, when you are able to hold it, your mind, you are a धीर, धीरः. सो जो धीर पुरुष है, पंडिते ही धीरे ही आत्माभ्यास उपस्थिते ही, वो व्यक्ति आत्मा का अनुध्यान करे, अनुसंधान करे धीरता पूर्वक, और वो पंडित होना चाहिए, बड़े बुद्धिमान होना चाहिए. और कैसे करेंगे? आत्मा का अभ्यास क्या है उसके बारे में एक श्लोक है. आत्मा का फिर क्या अभ्यास करेंगे? आत्मा क्या चीज है? हम ही आत्मा, फिर अभ्यास क्या करेंगे? यहाँ पे आत्म तत्व का अभ्यास करेंगे. कैसे करेंगे? प्राणायाम नहीं. फिर कैसे करेंगे? आत्मा का अभ्यास कैसे करेंगे? भक्त लोग कहते हैं लीला श्रवण करते हैं, भगवान कृष्ण के लीला, राम जी के लीला, वो लोग लीला श्रवण करते हैं भक्त लोग. निष्काम कर्मी जो हैं वो कर्म करते हैं, भगवान को समर्पण कर देते हैं. पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तो ये, कोई भी मुझे समर्पित कर दो, मैं खुश हूँ, अपना कर्म मुझे दे दो. लॉर्ड कृष्णा वो मक्खन चोर हैं, तो उसका बहुत अच्छा अर्थ किया गया है. मक्खन क्या है? वो जो चिपकता है. इट्स ऑल आर पापस. वो पाप चोर है, अपने भक्त के पाप को चोरी कर देते हैं. कितने प्यारे हैं चोर. सो वी आर हियरिंग अबाउट ऑल दी स्टोरीज. तो वेदांत में जो आत्मा का अभ्यास क्या है उसके बारे में एक श्लोक आएगा, हम उसके करेंगे. भवबंध विमुक्त, ये जो चेन है संसार का जिससे हम आबद्ध हो चुके हैं, इट्स ऑल अ सेल्फ क्रिएटेड थिंग बाय द वे. It's born out of our ignorance, संस्कार of thousands of births. So he's saying संसार, ये बंध से निवृत्ति के लिए, सो हेतुभूत सम्यक दर्शन निष्ठा, ये उद्देश्य क्या है? हम बंध से, आप जो बंधन है, संसार रूपक बंधन से हमको विमुक्त हम पाना चाहते हैं. अब उसका हेतु क्या है? पहले श्लोक में पढ़ दिए. सम्यक दर्शन निष्ठा, दैट इज साक्षात हेतु, लाइक सबमिशन ऑफ द पीएचडी थीसिस फॉर अ डिग्री. सिमिलरली मोक्ष का साक्षात हेतु है सम्यक दर्शन निष्ठा, ज्ञान निष्ठा, कॉम्प्रहेंसिव डिस्कशन, अंडरस्टैंडिंग, रियलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट अल्टीमेट ट्रुथ, दैट नेह नानास्ति किंचन. यहाँ पे सब अलग अलग दिख रहे हैं, कोई अलग अलग नहीं है, एक ही अधिष्ठान है, बहुत रूप से प्रतिभात होता है. पंडिते ही, अब पंडित कौन है? आत्म विषय परोक्ष ज्ञानवद भी. पंडित जो है आत्मज्ञानी नहीं है, उसका अवांतर पूर्वतर स्थिति है. कैसे? हम किताब से पढ़े, उपनिषद पढ़े, विवेक चूड़ामणि पढ़ रहे हैं. पंडित कम से कम उसको तत्वदर्शन परोक्षतया किताब से उसको हुआ, श्रवण करके पढ़. धीरे ही वशीकृत बुद्धि भी, अपना बुद्धि को अपने वश में ले गया. भगवान भी कहते हैं वशी, तो वशी शब्द का वहां पे. तो क्यों हम नहीं ले पाते हैं? व्हाट इज द चैलेंज? ये अपना कठोपनिषद में है. परांचिखानी वृत्रिणत स्वयंभू तस्मात् परांग पश्यति ना अंतरात्मन. हमारे जो इंद्रियां हैं उनके द्वार बहिर्मुख है, बाहर ही देखेंगे. आंख बाहर की चीज देखेगा. अपने आंखों से आप अंदर देख सकते हैं? आपके हृदय आप देख सकते हैं? नहीं. कान से जो अंदर जो गूंज रहा है वो आवाज सुन सकते हैं? नहीं. वो ईश्वर दया से आप अनुभव करेंगे सीधे. आपका स्पर्श शक्ति है, बाहर छू सकते हैं. ये स्पर्श शक्ति से आपके जो स्टोमक है, लिवर है, उसका हालत क्या है, टच करके फील कर सकते हैं? नहीं. परांची खाने, बाह्य मुख है, बहिर्मुख है, हर चीज बहिर्मुख. बोल लेंगे बाहर, हर चीज बहिर्मुख है, अंदर नहीं देख पाता है. बड़ा दुखद परिस्थिति है. हमें just imagine you are given, you are like owning a sweet shop, you cannot eat any of these sweets. You are having these jnanendriyas, can't use them to know who you are. How cruel is God? He has only given that divya chakyu, जिसके माध्यम से हम देख सकते हैं. That divya chakyu has nothing to do with these external senses. So abrita chakyu, and then he's saying कश्चित् धीरः प्रत्यगात्मान ऐक्षत आवृत चक्षुः अमृतत्वम इच्छन. तब भी आत्मा को कोई देखना चाहता है. वो कैसे देखा? आवृत चक्षुः. बाहर के तरफ जो आंखों के श्रोत्र इंद्रिय, घ्राण इंद्रिय, दरवाजे बाहर तरफ है, अब वो सबको बंद कर लेता है. आवृत चक्षुः, चक्षु से उपलक्षण सब इंद्रियों को ले लीजिए. बाहर जो बहिर्मुखी इंद्रिय हैं उनको वो छुट्टी दे देता है. फिर वो अपने आत्मा को देखता है। आवृत चक्षु, बड़ा सुंदर शब्द है, अमृतत्व इच्छन, क्योंकि अमृतत्व का संधान है, इसलिए वो आत्मा को देखना चाहता है। तभी वो, जैसे विवेक चूड़ामणि में क्या करेगा उसको बता रहे हैं, धियम राति इति धीरः प्रधान भूता कार्यकराण संघात मध्ये बुद्धि वसयति इत्युक्ते इतरेन्द्रियजन्यः अर्थ सिद्धः। तो असल में क्या है, यहाँ पे जो धीर है वो बैठ के चिंतन करता है। और आत्माभ्यास क्या है, आत्माभ्यास कैसे करेगा, यहाँ पे कह दिए यत्यताम, यत्न करे, कैसे करेगा आत्माभ्यास, उसको यहाँ पे बता रहे हैं। वो पंचदशी से आया है, तत्चिंतनम तत्कथनम अन्योन्यम तत्प्रबोधनम, सिर्फ आत्मा के बारे में ही कथन कीजिए। भक्त हैं, भगवान की लीला का कथन कीजिए। ज्ञानी हैं, उपनिषद वाक्यों का विचार कीजिए। रास्ते में भी जा रहे हैं, आत्मा में क्या है उसके ऊपर चर्चा कीजिए। Like there are bright students who are going to appear for IIT examinations. What do they discuss all the time? They discuss physics problems. If you pick up students who are preparing for UPSC, what are they discussing? General studies paper all the time. Somebody is doing research in a certain field, student of physics or chemistry or philosophy, what do they discuss? Their own discussion topics are about the subject in which they are engaged. And the more they dwell on it, the more they develop an insight without dwelling on something for a longer period. Today morning I was discussing with people that if you don't dwell on something for a while, nothing comes out of it. You have a shallow, surface level understanding. Only when we dwell on something for a longer time, we see new things. We develop new insights and understanding. Same thing is saying tat kathanam, tat chintanam, अन्योन्यम तत्प्रबोधनम, एक दूसरे से बात करते हुए एतद एक परत्वम च ब्रह्माभ्यासम विदुर्बुधा, जो जो ज्ञानी आदमी है उनका कहना है, मानना है कि एक दूसरे से अगेन अगेन इसी के बारे में बातचीत करना, ध्यान धारण करना, ये जो विचार है आत्म तत्व का, इससे अंतर्दृष्टि उन्मिलित होता है और फिर हम जग जाते हैं, धीरे धीरे जग जाते हैं। इसीलिए लॉट ऑफ पीपल यू माइट से दैट व्हाई देयर इज अ वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट रूल फॉर सन्यासीज। आप वेदांत का अध्ययन नहीं कर रहे हैं, एक जगह पे 3 दिन से ज्यादा नहीं रह सकते हैं, पाप हो जाएगा। आपको या तो घूमना है, एक जगह पे रहेंगे तो आबद्ध हो जाएंगे, तो वेदांत श्रवण कीजिए। तो यू कीप लिसनिंग टू इट, बट द मोर एंड मोर यू लिसन, द इंटरनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द माइंड बिकम्स more transparent. That is the idea. Okay, so when you have that, you would be able to reach there. Acha, abhi suddenly in our tradition there is a purva pakhya, he's a defense lawyer. What is his work? He'll ask some powerful questions to challenge whatever you are saying, because we have a dialogical tradition, as our great philosopher friend Amartya Sen says, the argumentative Indian. We had this dialogical tradition, a tradition of a debate and a dialogue everywhere. So the moment you say this, there would be some kind of a Vedanta scholar, a Vedic scholar, a Mimamsa scholar. He will wake up. He said, "Sir, I have a problem." What is the problem? He says this: "Javat जीवम अग्निहोत्रम जुहियात." जब तक जिंदा हो अग्निहोत्र करना चाहिए. Nobody is doing these days except in Tamil Nadu. We have only about 21 or 27 families in India who are doing Agnihotras. Earlier, Brahmin, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they were all doing Agnihotras. There are special Agnis, but then people are mobile these days, so they cannot do it. I think there are a few families in Kerala and Tamil Nadu who are doing it. There are some royal families also who appoint people to do it for them, but otherwise they are not doing it. It's kind of becoming extinct. Now, when you have these Vedic sentences, so they sing jab tak jiyo java jivam dasa purnamasaabhyam yajeta dasa purnamasa. दस हो गया अमावास्या और पूर्णमास, उसमें आपको 2 याग है, उसको आप अनुयाज प्रयाज और बाकी इसको आप करते रहो सारा जिंदगी, तब स्वर्ग जाएंगे। अब वेद ये कह रहा है, आप कह रहे हैं कि आप आत्मा का चिंतन करो, तो फिर ये याग के बारे में जो संबंधित वाक्य है वो अनर्थक हो जाएगा, उसको करना है नहीं करना। आप कहते हैं ये करो अग्निहोत्र याग, You have to do it whole life. So don't you think these Vedic injunctions are going to be useless or meaningless? Then he says, no, don't have this kind of तासां श्रुतिनाम अशुद्ध चित्त विषयत्वात्. ये जो श्रुति वाक्याएं हैं ठीक है, अधिकारी भेदा. Shankaracharya again and again hammers that point. He's a great guy who wrote stotras, who told us also how to do meditation. He also talks about Vedanta Chintana. Why? He adds one particular very pet sentence, अधिकारी भेदा. सबका अधिकार एक नहीं है. Somebody is ready for Upanishad Vedanta Chintana, somebody is ready for Upasana, somebody is ready for Karma Kanda. तो ये जो है अशुद्ध चित्त विषयत्वात्, जो लोगों का मन, अंतकरण या चित्त संपूर्ण निर्मल नहीं हुआ है, संस्कृत नहीं हुआ है, वो कर्मकांड पूजा करें, वो करें, कोई तकलीफ नहीं है. उससे थोड़ा शुद्ध हो गया, वो मेडिटेशन करेंगे, वो थोड़ा सा अपना उपासना करेंगे, भक्त बनेंगे, योगी बनेंगे, और शुद्ध बन गया तो वो योग उपासना भी उनका मन को प्रस्तुत कर देगा चिंतन के लिए आत्म तत्व का. फिर वो उपनिषद वाक्य के ऊपर they will enter into Upanishads. That is what Shankaracharya and the Upanishads, they say this. So there is this sentence, na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena eke amritatvam anashuhu संन्यास योगात अयतस शुद्ध सत्वाहा. तो असल में anybody who sort of reaches this मुख्य स्थिति is not, but that sentence again says that it again and again, तमेतं वेदानुवचनेन ब्रह्मणा विविदिशन्ति यज्ञेन दानेन तपसा अनासकेन. ये ब्रह्म को जानने का इच्छा करते हैं ब्राह्मण यानी पंडित लोग. कैसे? कैसे पंडित मतलब जात पात यहाँ पे नहीं है. ब्राह्मणा विविदिशन्ति, ज्ञानी है, वो जानने का कोशिश करते हैं. कैसे करते हैं? यज्ञेन दानेन तपसा, यज्ञ करते हैं, दान करते हैं, तपस करते हैं, अनासकेन, उपवास भी करते हैं बहुत सारा. क्यों करते हैं? अंतकरण शुद्धि के लिए. उसके बाद जब वेदानुचिंतन करते हैं उसका अर्थ प्रकाशित होता है आत्मा में, नहीं तो ऊपर ऊपर. दैट इज व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. देयरफॉर if you are doing the यज्ञ, दान, तपस, ध्यान, कोई भी अनर्थक नहीं है. एक एक पर्याय का काम है, वो करने पर अगले पर्याय में जाता है आत्मा. तो योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त्वात्म शुद्धये. जो कर्म योगी है, कर्म भी क्यों करता है? आत्म शुद्धि के लिए करता है. अब ये जो बताए, तो यहाँ पे क्या है, एक ब्रह्म सूत्र में बड़ा सुंदर सूत्र है, सर्वपेक्षा च यज्ञाति श्रुतिर अश्ववत. जो यज्ञ का श्रुति है वेद में, वो क्या कहते हैं कि देखिए, अब घोड़ा आपके पास है, खेती में काम नहीं आता है. क्या घोड़ा रथ चलना में काम नहीं आएगा? अश्ववत, हाँ, खेती करने में घोड़ा का कोई काम नहीं है, लेकिन सामान लाने में, अपना जो अनाज है उसको मार्केट ले जाने में काम आएगा कि नहीं आएगा? ऐसे ही आत्मनिष्ठा में, आत्मज्ञान निष्ठा में ये जो यज्ञ, दान, तपस, ये सब का कोई ज्यादा बड़ा रोल नहीं है. इसके लिए कोई बाह्य वस्तुओं का प्रयोजन नहीं है, पैसे नहीं चाहिए, बहुत सारे किताब नहीं चाहिए. आत्मचिंतन के लिए कोई, ये निरपेक्ष है, साधन निरपेक्ष. एक ही साधन है, चिंतन, विचार. अंतकरण शुद्ध हो गया तो बाह्य जो बहुत सारे द्रव्य हैं उसका कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है. यू डोंट नीड टू बी वेरी रिच मैन टू रियलाइज दिससेल्फ. टू डू यज्ञ, टू डू दान, टू डू तपस, यू नीड मनी. Because even to do tapasya, you should have income without which you can survive. Your family members need help. None other than Vishwakarma. You are so kind to Nahusa, a Trishanku, because Trishanku was supporting his family when he had sat in meditation. So you need some kind of thing, right? But for Atma Chintana, you don't need anything. So, सर्वपेक्षा च यज्ञादि श्रुतिर अश्ववत. जैसे घोड़ा खेती में काम ना आए तो बाकी चीज में काम आ जाता है, ऐसे ही आत्मनिष्ठा में भले यज्ञ, दान, तपस्या, कर्म जो है, योग जो है, भक्ति जो है, उपासना, ये सब प्राणायाम, ये सब आत्मनिष्ठा में काम नहीं आते हैं, लेकिन उसके लिए जो अंतकरण का प्रस्तुति होती है उसमें आवश्यक पड़ जाते हैं. सो देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम. सो चित्त शुद्धि द्वारा ज्ञान बहिरंगत्वम, एक जो वेदांत का, जो आत्मचिंतन का, दो साधन होते हैं, एक है अंतरंग, एक है बहिरंग। अंतरंग हो गया चिंतन, विचार, गुरु उपसदन जाके उपनिषद का पढ़े, उसके ऊपर चिंतन की। लेकिन बहिरंग साधन चाहिए, उसके लिए यज्ञ दान तपस्या करने पर व्यक्ति, जैसे एक गुड क्रिकेटर ऑल्सो गोज टू द जिम फॉर अ while. He doesn't need muscles. He doesn't need any of this. He just needs a fit body. That's it. Why does he go to gym? They made it mandatory. Yeah, because he needs that bahiranga sadhana. The actual sadhana kya hai famous hone ka? He must be able to score runs. He must be able to take wickets. But to be able to take wickets and to make runs, he prepares that human system which requires a bit of gymming, a food regime, and blah blah blah. He needs so many things. You need a dietary expert. There should be a master who is going to relax your muscles. You need so many things. Similarly, also here. Therefore, verse number 11 says, was chittasya suddhaye karma natu vastu palabdhaye vastu siddhi vicharena na kinchit karma kotivihi. हम जो कर्म करेंगे, जो ज्ञान निष्ठा में आग्रह रखता है, चित्त से शुद्ध है कर्म, चित्त शुद्धि के लिए ही कर्म करेगा। न तो वस्तु उपलब्ध है, वस्तु उपलब्धि के लिए कर्म नहीं करेगा। स्वर्ग जाना है, पुत्र प्राप्ति चाहिए, पैसे चाहिए, उसके लिए कर्म नहीं करेगा, तो व्यवहारिक है, वो पहले उसका खत्म हो चुका है। वस्तु सिद्धि विचारेण, जो आत्म तत्व है उसका विचार करने पर न किंचित कर्म कोटि भी, कोई भी कर्म कोटि से वो विचार के लिए और कोई भी चीज वो निरपेक्ष है, वहां पहुंच के वो करेगा। ये स्पष्ट अर्थ है। अब विचारस्य वस्तु उपलब्धि हेतुत्व दृष्टांतन विशदयति सम्यगिति। अब ये बताते कैसे विचार करेगा, जो वस्तु उपलब्धि के लिए, आत्म तत्व के बारे में जो ज्ञान के लिए जो करेगा, कैसे करेगा, दैट इज एक्सप्लेनिंग। सम्यक विचारतः सिद्धा रज्जु तत्वावधारणा भ्रांत्योदित महासर्प भव दुख विनाशिनी। This is a powerful pet Vedantic sentence. Why are we troubled? Samyak vicharatah siddha. Comprehensive analysis of the causes of agony, the causes of samsara, उससे सिद्ध होता है। कैसे इसको क्या सिद्ध हो जाता है? रज्जु तत्वोवधारणा। So what happens is you enter into a room and there is a rope. There is not adequate light. And suddenly you are scared that this is a king cobra. And you start running because you think it's a king cobra and you think it's going to attack you. So you're perspiring, you're scared, you're anxious, your breathing has gone up. And then suddenly, with a lamp, you see what is it exactly. It's not moving. Is it sleeping? It looks like a dangerous snake. Once that light you have, that bhrantya udita mahasarapa bhava dukkha vinasini. Now this light, once you have that light, you go with the torch light. What do you see? You see Rajju Tattva Avadharana. You see that it's a rope. That Avadharana, Nishchita Buddhi, that you have that Nishchayatmika Buddhi, that it was a rope, it was not a snake. I was unnecessarily. The moment you're aware that this is a rope, it's not a snake, what happens? Bhrantya Udita, out of a faulty understanding, that whole big cobra, king cobra, had emerged in your mind. भ्रांत्योदित महासर्प, महासर्प हो गया, महासर्प से भव दुख, इन दिस होल भय, दैट इज द संसार भय, बिकॉज ऑफ अ faulty understanding. And that particular thing is destroyed by what? A torchlight. भव दुख विनाशिनी, दैट इज रज्जु तत्व अवधारणा। ये भय, जो सर्प का भय को नाश करने वाला है, कि ये रज्जु है, ये ज्ञान सर्प का भय को नाश कर देता है। ऐसे ही when we know the आत्मा क्या तत्व है, with proper analytical understanding through meditation, निश्चयात्मिका बुद्धि, without any doubts, then we are no more bothered about this whole samsara. That is what it says. Okay? सम्यक विचारतः, और कैसे वो अवधारणा निश्चित होता है, It is ascertain, it stabilizes, it becomes your own only through proper comprehensive analysis and understanding. Next, how do we actually reach that रज्जु तत्ववधारणा? विचार भी करेंगे तो कैसे करेंगे, उसके ऊपर अपना वो मत रख रहे हैं. Verse number 13. We'll do that and we'll stop here. So he's saying that this doesn't generally happen on your own. If you sit and you're thinking that I can do it, it may or may not happen. Therefore, in the verse number 13, he says, अर्थस्य निश्चयो दृष्टो विचारेण हितो हितोक्तितः न स्नानेन न दानेन प्राणायामसतेन वा. अर्थस्य निश्चयो दृष्टो, जो अर्थ है, ये this is a rope. How can you ascertain it? This is a rope, it's not a snake. How do you ascertain it? Can you ascertain it by shouting, it's a snake trying to kill me, please save me? Will it become a rope? No, the fear will persist. You sing some favorite song, you know, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, you do it. The rope, the snake will become a rope? No. Because you are still in darkness, it is frightening you. You're shouting, maybe you'll feel a little better because you're taking the name of the Lord. But still, that particular object is still lying there. It looks like a snake. You are afraid once in a while. How does it go? विचारेण हीत उक्तितः. आप विचार करते हैं. कैसे करते हैं? जो यथार्थ वस्तु है. एक बच्चा भी आया, अंकल क्यों परेशान हो या आंटी क्यों परेशान हो? सांप है, तुमने नहीं देखा? वो तो दौड़ा है मम्मी, आप परेशान हो रही हो खाम खा. रज मैंने ही फेंका था, या पुराना दौड़ा है, उसको मैंने फेंका इसके अंदर. The small child tells it. The mom feels embarrassed. Puts her toes, the baby conforms. हितोक्ति, हितोक्तितः, जो आप्त वचन है, गुरु जी का जो वचन है, वो हितात्मक है, हमारे अच्छाई के लिए है. क्यों? ये यथार्थ वचन है, इसीलिए हितकारक है. सो जो हित वचन है, उससे जो विचार फिर करता है, उससे पता चलता है कि जो भय है, अर्थस्य निश्चय, that it is a rope, is not a snake, is a certain, not through snanena. You go and take a few dips in Ganga. Would you have Atmagyana? No. It seems Shankaracharya is smiling and saying no. But it's useful for Antakarana Suddhi, for Upasana. Atmagyan hoga? Nahi. You go and you have a lunch with the wisest professor on earth. A lot of people do it. Some big professor have come and they waste a lot of time to go and have lunch with them. What will you gain? He might write a recommendation for you, but it's very difficult. It's a wastage of time. But then you can give your time. You might feel something is going to happen. No. You have to read a few things to understand and go get close to where he has reached in life through hard work. So, na snanena, na danena, and you distribute a lot of money because you're very rich. Anyone is going to give you Atmagyana? No. Na snanena, na danena, pranayama, satena cha, and you do a lot of breathing exercises. You know what is Atma? No. Only through vichara, only through a proper engagement with the truth. So in Vedanta, upasanas are not made fun of. The snanas, the tapasyas, the satkarma, all these are useful, as different stages for chitta suddhi. But that ultimate thing that you have to write a thesis, you may have read 5,000 books, you have to write a thesis and submit it, then only PhD. And that writing the thesis is vichara, sakshat mukti karana. To do that ultimate thing. So you have to be truth oriented. Therefore, you can do all of the things as a penultimate exercise for chitta suddhi, which will prepare you for the next spiritual plunge into that ultimate truth, which is going to liberate you. And then he's mentioning about different categories of students and how to sort of see where you stand and how to prepare yourself for that ultimate thing. So in the verse number 14, what does he say? Adhikarinamasaste falasiddhi visheshatah upayadesakaladhyaha santasyam sahakarinah adhikarinam asaste falasiddhi vishesatah. Now tell me, if you don't have a very strong physique, is somebody going to give you how to be equestrian? How can you do horse riding? No. They will check whether you have that basic physical requirement for this. So any karma you are doing, you want to be a cricketer, okay, you should have a fit body. You want to be a philosopher, you should have that ability to sit and study. So depending on whatever karma you want to do, there is a particular linkage with what you are looking for and whether you are the qualified student to reach there. So this karma, there are two things there. As a karta, you should have the samarthya, the ability to do that karma, number one. Even if you do it, then you should have the samarthya to also enjoy the benefits thereof. Otherwise, it's pointless. So you buy a big pizza, a baby has a lot of money. By mistake, it doesn't work. It goes to a shop in a mall and hands over $100 bill. What do you want? The baby says pizza. That's what it has heard from its mom. And that guy hands over him a pizza for $10 and returns $90. The baby doesn't know what to do with it. Then it comes and tells Mama, pizza. Mama says, I had asked you to bring a pizza. The baby thinks it has done a good job. It can't consume that pizza. It doesn't know what is the value of $10. It doesn't know the value of $90. For it's what? It's just beyond that baby. It has heard a word called pizza. It has heard the mother order pizzas, and therefore it went to that mall and just shouted. He got $100 bill. It says, "Give me a pizza." 2.5 years old, and that guy was happy to get the money and gave a pizza. So whatever you're doing, adhikaranam asaste falasiddhi visheshatah upayaha desakaladhyaha santyastam asyam सहकारिणः. अब जो संन्यास लेगा सर्वकर्म संन्यास, उसका भी कुछ अधिकार होगा. And then there are a lot of conditionalities. Some texts say that you first study as a brahmachari, then you should be a grihastha. You should go through the churning of life, then you become a vanaprasthi, then a sannyasi. Then certain other srutis also say that ahareva virajet tad ahareva pravadjet. जिस दिन आपका वैराग्य strong हो गया, उसी दिन आप चले जाइए. And then there is this sentence. It says that after studying everything, you can take sannyasa directly from brahmacharya. You don't have to marry also if the vairagya is very strong. So then what do you do with so many contradictory statements? So the mukhya adhikara is whether you have chitta suddhi and you have vairagya. Then you can go and study Upanishad and spend your time. If you are not yet there, okay, then you be a gruhi, and then you have to do your grihastha karmas. You prepare for the next stage, be a vanaprasthi, then ultimately you can take vividisa sannyasa. So there are certain sahakari karana, depending on what is the location, what is the time, when you have to do it. But the mukhya karana adhikara is agraha in jnana nishtha, and then that most important is how powerful is your vairagya, how much detached you are, and you have lost interest in the samsara, and therefore you want to sit and meditate on the Atma Tattva. So I'll just give, I'll stop here. I'll stop here, and then we'll start from here in the next week when we gather from verse number 15. Any questions or anything, or we can do the Shanti Mantra? Okay, we can do the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvesham